I think too often we take things for granted, right? And we live our life and we just push forward, and things happen to us or stuff comes in the way, and it's like, why is this happening to me, right? We get focused on the things we don't have instead of focusing on the things that we do have. And I think sometimes the people around us get overlooked because we're too busy looking up at the stars, trying to connect to celebrities and things of that nature. But the reality is, who you are defines where you go. And nothing matters more than the person behind the brand, the person that is behind the emails and the content that's going out. And knowing that person and developing that person is probably the most essential thing you can do for your business. This person that I'm speaking with tonight is somebody that I consider a showstopper, right? If you're scrolling, you're looking through your stuff, you just, doom scrolling for 3 hours and whatnot, which I do not do, thank God. You come across one of her content pieces, you're gonna stop and pay attention. Not just because it's great information and because it's valuable to you, but more than anything because she's just who she is. And she doesn't shy away from any compartment of that. But she also delivers value, like consistently. And you can't hate on that. You have no choice but to love it. So tonight's special guest is none other than what I consider the guru of content and branding, Nicky Saunders. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite her in and we'll get this conversation. Nicky, what's happening?
What's poppin'?
Man, living the life over here trying to figure it out one moment at a time. I appreciate you jumping on the live.
Of course. Come on. You
Yeah,
invited. I'm here.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Listen, the signature hat, the signature shoes in the background. I mean, when it comes to branding and you being who you are, no matter what platform you're on, like, I gotta respect that. But do you ever feel pressure to kind of like step out and do something different whenever you're on a different stage, or do you feel comfortable no matter where you go?
Nah, I feel comfortable. I mean, when you do this after a while, like you got, it's the same situation, different place. You feel me? Like
Okay.
I'm not going to become a character because I'm at a different environment, right? I'm not the real situations. I'm not trying to like fit in because
Mm.
I can't necessarily take that energy of I don't care that much to be like, what do you like? What is this? How is this? Da da da. Like, if I can't just be me and that doesn't necessarily work, that's not my place to be.
Mm, I love it. A lot of people struggle with that, and I don't get it. I think that one thing we have in common is that as it relates to our brand and what we do and how we tell other people how they should do their, business and brand better, it's to be yourself and
Hmm.
to be yourself fully.
Hmm.
I guess for all intents and purposes, understanding that you are at heart an introvert,
Yep.
um, most people wouldn't feel that that is the case. And a lot of people who are introverts, they don't have the same charisma in terms of like the desire to just be out front with who
Hmm.
they are.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who might be watching who feel like I could never just be myself online?
So, but introverts don't necessarily have problems with themselves. I mean, if
Mm,
you think about the being an introvert, it's about how we recharge,
mm,
right? And it doesn't necessarily always mean we're shy, doesn't mean we don't like doing videos or things like that. We may not be consistent with it, right? Because it drains.
mm,
Um, but at the same time, it's more of how do we create a world that's safe? And so for me with content, I've created a world that's safe because I can turn this off at any moment. I can pop in and I can turn it off at any moment. Like, so if anybody's been on my lives on Mondays, I could go in for 3 hours. You won't see me for the rest of the week on that live. You know what I mean? Like, because
yeah,
I go and then I chill and then maybe I'll pop up randomly, but probably not. Like
right.
because it takes up like my whole Tuesday is straight up recharging from everything that happened the night
Mm,
before. right? So finding those pockets of like, how do I show up? What is the, you know, I have a certain kind of system of going live, then cutting them up, posting them, so I don't have to necessarily feel the pressure of posting every single day something new. I can just go
Hmm.
back to something else. From the written content, I just go back to what I did on Monday, see if I can reword it a little bit, boom, boom, boom. And I like experimenting, right? Because I do feel like social media is a big experiment. Like you, some things don't, when you find your style, it doesn't stay like that forever. So
Yeah.
you have a season of that style. And then what are you doing to kind of fix it? Like
Mhm.
everything's an experiment. I'm in a Substack experiment right now. 30 days of just figuring out, is this a platform to pay attention to? Can I figure this out? Yeah, I mean, like, and not feeling the pressure of, oh, I have to post forever. I don't want to post forever. That's not what I want to do. I only want to post if I enjoy it.
Mm, that's big because I think a lot of people, I get that question all the time. How often should I post? And I think that answer varies, but at the end of the day, you have to feel like it. You have, because otherwise it's going to be half-mast. It's not going to really be as potent as it would otherwise. But to that same degree, it's not just about how you feel, because I'm sure there are times where you're putting in the work and you're putting in the hours, you're editing a video, whatever, and it's like, man, I'd rather just go chill and watch a little TV, but you have a goal in mind at the same time.
Hmm.
So with that said, man, I kind of want to jump into the topic for tonight, which is, your reputation is your currency.
Hmm.
I don't think people put enough emphasis on, the servitude side of what we do and
Yeah.
being there for your brand, for other people's brand, giving of self and how it matters, right? If you say you're gonna do something, do it. Even like you being on a live, you said, "Hey, I'll be there," right?
Hmm.
And you're a woman of your word, and I surely appreciate it. But everybody's not like that. I've gotten people to schedule calls and not show up, and everybody has those moments, right? But what would you say from somebody who's had your level of success and who's seen and helped like build other people's brands and see them be successful? How important is a person's reputation and keeping their word and doing what you say you're gonna do?
Um, so I have a different viewpoint on it,
Go
right?
ahead.
Because um I have the I don't necessarily care what people think vibe,
Hmm.
right? And then I have the your character speaks for your reputation, and so you don't necessarily have to try too hard to build a reputation,
Hmm.
right? Character, morals, beliefs, that you walk of what you believe in, right? And
Yep.
so it's I don't necessarily focus as much as on reputation as far as I focus on being a better person.
Mm.
And the more that I know about myself and the more that I become a better person, then that just trickles down into everything else. My performance is better. The way I communicate is better. My relationships are better because I've been focusing on who I am, right?
Hmm.
Now, at the same time, there are certain situations where I don't but I believe I have a great reputation, but of course there are some people that I just don't know what they think about me, nor do I sit up at night being like, "Oh my god, what do these people think about me? How can I change?" I focus so much on the people who value me
Hmm.
and who champion me more than the people in the background who may say something about me, because I'm an overthinker,
Hmm.
right? So I could, if you get me in that mode, I could think of 19 different scenarios of what people may be saying about me because I put something out, or I didn't show up to this event, or this, that, or I said no, because I say no a lot. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's more of just be who you are, focus on the self improvement side of you, and then sleep well. That's how
Mm.
I look at things.
Yeah, I have a similar thought process. I tell people this all the time. So it's so interesting hearing you say certain things because it like mirrors my thoughts. Um, I stopped caring about what people think about me. You know,
Hmm.
I was not a person that was all in front of the camera. I'm behind the scenes guy, right? You got a technical background, I got a technical background. But you know, obviously in helping people build websites and doing that stuff, I got more into understanding is really about the person. And
Hmm.
so I started building people. Um, but within that, I realized I needed to be a little bit more in front of the camera. And the first thing I had to do was just come to grips with the reality that I can't control what people think. I'm
Hmm.
not even going to try.
Hmm.
And if I spend any amount of time thinking about that, I'm going to self sabotage and come up with stories that may not even be true.
Hmm.
Right. But in addition to that, you know, you talked about a few things as it relates to, you know, you just being you, your character, your morals, those type of things. I would like you to tell us like a story that many people might not know about how your character and you just being yourself authentically, I know that's a cliche word,
Hmm.
has opened doors for you and put you in positions that you wouldn't have been had you not been kind of on top of your game. Do you have anything you mind sharing from that perspective that people can gain from?
I think that's my whole brand, right?
Mm,
I stay inside. You know what I mean? Like you don't see much content of me truly outside. I stay inside and I focus on, okay, how do I don't focus on being an expert. I focus on being a student of the game and
mm,
sharing what I learn. And because I share what I learn, it allows people to be like, hold on, I need you to talk about this over here, right? So all the opportunities that I've ever gotten has been just because I post consistently and I'm me, right?
mm,
And one thing that everybody will say is like, yo, Nikki is you are just you. This is who you are online and offline, right? So there because I focus on like, yo, me just showing up, me practicing and having the discipline to be consistent, me not coming off strong on some I'm an expert and here do all these different things and blah blah blah. Like no, I'm not going to do that, has allowed me to meet people that I've seen growing up, right, on TV and movies, have
mm,
allowed me to be on stages in places that I never thought I could be in.
mm.
And I didn't have to shake hands and kiss babies and be outside of my element like some tips and tricks have said,
Right,
right?
right.
Um Now my journey isn't going to work for everybody, right? It's worked for me. And that's what I
Mhm.
always say. It's like I'm sharing what works for me in hopes that you can pick something out and kind of remix it in your own way. But my whole brand and what has happened to me in my life has been just a testament of me just being me.
I love that. That's amazing. And I think it speaks volumes to what we're saying, right? And this is why it's important. Like everybody reposted the stuff with the guy and the mistress, we'll say, at the Coldplay
Oh,
concert,
okay. I was like,
right?
what are
Right.
you talking about? Yeah, yeah.
But you know, I always think about it from a different angle. It's like if this guy had like really sat down and looked in the mirror and thought through and decided to live his life a little bit differently, maybe he wouldn't be in that predicament. You know, so
I
people
mean,
can
yeah,
say,
it looked like he was living his life. He just got caught. I,
right,
I don't know. I think he was having a time.
but is he having a time now?
No,
He's
but
having a different time now.
yeah, but I don't know if that has anything to do with being authentic. I think that's just having bad decisions.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying he needed to be authentic. I'm saying he needed to do some inner work. I'm
Oh,
saying he
for
needed to look
sure.
in the mirror and say, man, you know, I'm not living the life I should live. Let me change that. And it's the same thing with people in their businesses and whatnot. If you're not operating in a consistent manner, if you're not putting in the work, if you're not, you know, digging deep and not just reaching for viral videos, right? If you don't know what you're talking about and you're just getting on a podcast, I can go on and on. But my point is, there's some work involved. You know, one
Mhm.
thing I like about your brand is that when you get on these lives and you do your thing, you're not afraid to say, "Let me try this out. I
Mhm.
haven't seen this yet. Let me see how this works."
Mhm.
And then you share that information,
Mhm.
right? Some people are afraid to fail in front of people. Some people are afraid to be themselves. And I think it's important to do both. I think it's important to learn your craft, but also it's okay to show who you are in the process.
Mhm.
So, do you have any thoughts on like how a person who's just starting out, who doesn't understand social media, like they've done the YouTube train where they watch for hours and they're starting to implement some stuff, but they still feel like these metrics aren't really lining up with what they hope to see? Do you have any encouragement for those people who might post something that they put a lot of time into and they just
Mhm.
feel like, nobody watched it, so I'm wasting my time?
Yeah, and I put this out on my newsletter today, where everything, going back to earlier, everything is an experiment, right? And
Mm,
so where if you put if you say, yo, for 3 weeks straight, I'm going to do this types of video, right? I'm gonna
mhm,
do this types of video. And at the end of these 3 weeks, I'm gonna see one, how I felt, and two, how these metrics did. In the time that I'm doing this, I'm not going to really hold weight to metrics, right?
mhm.
Because things can fluctuate. Like some post, and we've seen it, and type me in the chat if you've seen it, where you'll post something, let's say today. In 2 weeks, it starts to get some traction, right?
Mm,
And you're at first thought that was a failure because we're constantly looking at metrics every single day. We're grading our own selves over and over again, right? But sometimes we just gotta let some things marinate. Like
yeah.
we are putting out things, majority of us are putting out things that hasn't been put out in that specific way. Maybe that same topic, maybe that same, material, product, whatever, but in the perspective that you're putting in, it takes a little bit of education for the person to understand what you're saying or
Mm,
see it in the way that you do. So sometimes the things that we put out is just going to take time, right?
mm,
And numbers don't determine how valuable the information, the motivation, the entertainment that we put out. It doesn't like
doesn't
hold
always
weight
add
to
up.
that. Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't hold up weight. So I think if we are in that mode of like, damn, this is just not working, like these numbers don't add up, start start doing an experiment. You know what? I'm going to do this for umpteen many days. And if not, then I'm going to look at a different platform, or I'm going to look at a different content format, or I'm going to look at, like, some of us are on a platform way too long than what we're supposed to be.
Mm,
And
that's
you have
big.
no business being on the platform. It's not natural to you. And so you focus on what comes natural to you and what doesn't feel like a chore at first. And then you have so much content that you're able to repurpose it on all these other platforms until you want to focus on another one. I said this yesterday in a call where each platform has its own language. Right? Some of us
Wow.
can't learn 5 different languages at the same time. We
Bars.
we may have to learn one language at a time. I'm going to right now Substack, and that may be Spanish to me. And so
Hmm.
I have to learn like beginner and middle level Spanish to feel comfortable to have a conversation, right? To then maybe explore French.
Yeah.
Maybe. But until I can have a conversation over here, I have no business trying to learn a different language. It's the same thing with social media.
Mm, that's big. That's major. I haven't heard it from that perspective, man, the language thing, which is why I said bars, because I mean, like, put some fire in the chat if you feel like Nikki is dropping gems tonight because I'm feeling it. I don't know about y'all. This is amazing, okay? But you bring up an interesting point. Like, not only are you trying out Substack, which is a new platform, but you understand that you can't just go to this platform with the same approach and
Mhm.
strategy that you do on YouTube or
Mhm.
Threads or whatever the case may be. Like
Mhm.
you have to adjust to whatever that platform is, with the mindset that you're a student and you're learning, and
Mhm.
it's a language that you haven't heard before. So that is remarkable. You probably need to just go ahead and write that book, because that yeah that go ahead and add author to the end, and yeah, that's great. So Nikki, I'm curious, like, what's some of the most misconstrued or misunderstood things that people have said or thought about you based off of the content that you put out and things like that? Like, I'm curious to know if somebody has this like one thing you always hear and you're like, I don't understand why people think this about me.
Oh, that I'm tall.
I wish it was a
Yeah,
little.
everybody is like, "Ah, you are a lot shorter than I expected." And I'm like, I state that I'm 5'2" all the time. I state,
Why is
you
this a
must,
surprise?
you must think, literally, that's really it. That and the whole, they can't believe that I'm an introvert. But when they meet me, they understand, oh
Mm.
yeah, no, you're absolutely an introvert. Because I'll dip out in 2.3 seconds. I'm not, hey, how is everything like that? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, those are the only two that I know of. Extrovert and they think I'm tall
I
or
get the
taller.
opposite. They think they don't know how tall I am. Everybody thinks I'm like average or short. I'm 6'4". So it's like when they see me in person, they go, "Oh, I didn't know you was tall." So I feel that 1,000%. And while we're on this, casual topic, I'm curious, like, what are some of your pet peeves? What are things that you just it irks you, but it's not really that big of a deal, and it's like I can't stand this.
In what topic? I mean, pet peeves. There's pet peeve for everything. What you talking
Right.
about?
So for me, this is a worldwide announcement. My pet peeve is when people spell out my name, which is Rod, and call me Rob with a B. I am just like, did you not see the email? Did you not see? Well, I don't understand this. And it happens so often. It's frustrating. So I know that's like a little small thing, but that's my pet peeve. So that's what I mean. Something like that.
Um. Oh well, if we're talking about that, I would say everybody spells my name Nicki or Nikki in my
Really?
comments. In my comments, when my
How?
name is Nicky. Yeah, I
I don't.
don't.
I don't understand how that happens. But no, it
Yeah,
happens to me in email. It happens to me like with
no, it happens to
professional
me in my
people.
comments. My name is right there, and you still spelling it wrong. It's hilarious to me. And so I don't even correct it anymore. I'd be
Right.
like, you
Right.
mean well. You mean well.
It's no
You
big
don't
deal.
know no
Yeah, and
better.
that's why I said it, because like I've had to work on that. Like really work on it. And in working on it, I realized like that's a character flaw for me. To be frustrated to a point where like it's a mistake and here I am thinking about it. And so I brought that up for a reason because I think many of us have things that we don't like or that we go through, in life, in business, in so many different ways, and we take things personal when
Hmm.
it's really not, you
Hmm.
know and sometimes we do things with an expectation attached to it when we should just do things because we want to do them, or it's out of the kindness of our heart, or whatever it might be. um, do you know of some methods or some tactics that people can begin to like implement from a personal standpoint to pull back, like whether it's getting a therapist, whether it's reading a book or meditating, or any practices that you know of from a personal standpoint that a person can really like begin to research, okay, is it me, or is it this situation? How can I better myself so that my reputation goes before me?
Um, I could tell you what I do. I think every day I journal, right? Every day I
Mm,
journal. Um, I'm in the Bible. I'm praying.
Nice.
And then also, I'm meditating for about, 5 to 10 minutes at least, bare minimum.
Hmm.
Because I ask and then I listen, right? Shout out to Keon. He told me that prayer, you speak, and then meditate, you listen, right?
Mm,
Um, and so I think with that kind of routine that I have, right, and that's not always back to back to back. I try to do back to back. Um, but for the most part, I could only focus on, here is the problem. Let me speak about the problem. Let me speak to a higher power about the problem. And then let me just kind of listen and assess what is really going on. Right?
mm,
Um, and in which I always ask, is there something that I could have done different?
mm,
I never look at situations where it's them or this environment or the situation, things like that. It's like, what could I have done different in how I prioritize this? How could I have done different how I entered inside of this event and I necessarily didn't speak to too many people? Like, how I'm just more on the how for me, and so it could trickle down into everything else.
mm. I love that. You said you journal every day.
Hmm.
I got a journal. I when I write in it, like I know that it's doing something, but I definitely don't do it consistent enough. I do have some other, habits and stuff. I'll go walking outside and ground and like you said, I'll pick my Bible up. I normally do some of that stuff early in the morning. And then
Hmm.
I got a late night routine where I'm like researching stuff or preparing for the next day. But journaling, I guess it's for a outlet, but I've never really tapped into it enough to feel the effects of it. Or if I am feeling it, I don't really know that I am. Is it because you're just like a person with words or
No,
writing? Okay.
no, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. So here's the thing. So I read this book, The Artist's Way, right? So I
Hmm.
dealt with really bad burnout. And so nothing was coming in at all. I was just moving in kind of just what already was.
Mm.
So in Artist Way, it tells you to write 3 pages a day. And when you are not a writer, that is one of the hardest things in the world, right? And so once again, it's one of those experiments. You do something for a certain amount of time, and which, if you do it as an experiment, you kind of push yourself to do that, right?
Mm.
um After that, I kind of put my spin to it of writing and putting it into ChatGPT.
Mm.
So it's not just me releasing, it's me releasing and then analyzing, right?
Mm.
And then I realized that once the experiment finished, it was like, okay, how do I keep up with this journaling in a more consistent way? So now I use Notion, and they have AI meeting notes. And so you can just talk to it and it
Ah.
transcribes and everything like that. So on my walks, when I'm either walking my dog or just regular walks, that is my form of journaling, to then still
Mm.
put it into ChatGPT and have it analyze and things like that. So journaling it doesn't always necessarily mean writing. It's just releasing the thoughts. Because sometimes you got to just do that and then see how it's, because me sometimes, right, for one, I have bad handwriting. I'm a techie person. So
Same. Same.
yeah, so I hate looking at it, right? So when I put it into ChatGPT and it lays it all the way out, I have it speak to me, right? Because
Mhm.
me reading some of my stuff, I don't want to either. But when it speaks to me, then certain things starts making sense, and I can have a conversation about a particular part of it or a particular idea, and where my thoughts now are starting to be things that are coming to life with either my business, whether my relationship, whether just me
Mm.
personally, because I'm having further conversation of this journaling part.
Man, that's so man. I hope y'all took notes on that because I'm over here like about to grab Notion today. I heard of Notion. I played around with it a little bit, but I went away from it. I definitely tap into speaking into ChatGPT
Hmm.
and doing that piece. But like you use Poppy AI as well,
Hmm.
and Hey Gen, right? We talked about that the other day.
Hmm.
Do you feel like there's a limit? Do you feel like it's like, you know what? I got enough to play with. Let me just like zone in here. Or do you feel like there is no limit? It's like you might as well try it and see if it fits, right? Because there's always going to be something new. How do you feel about the limitation of you being able to take on more as it relates to AI tools?
I have ADHD, so I'm shiny uh tool syndrome all day, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, what I try and what I use is two different things. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I call it like I have a playground. Like I can try all the different AI tools and different systems and different all these different things. I can play around with it all day. There's going to be some staple ones that I'm going to use all the time, and it's going to take a minute until somebody knocks that down to
Yeah.
something else. You know.
Right.
Um, so like I'll always have ChatGPT to talk to and brainstorm and that whole nine, but I have Poppy that will allow me to create the system, right? Like a set it and forget it situation. And then there's not so much talking, there's more, hey, I need this to be done,
Hmm.
right? Where ChatGPT is, hey, let's talk. Let's talk this out, right? Um and so then also with like Opus Clip, I'll take one of the videos that I have, I'll put it in there and just cut it up in the ways that I need it to be. And I look at certain AI tools of what I need,
Yeah.
not what is cool, what's trending. Here are the things that I need, right? Notion is my um like all in one spot, meaning like all my thoughts, all my systems, all that's going to be in Notion as like a uh I could search, hey, I said this, and it comes up with everything that I said, right? Where I know I can't necessarily do that in ChatGPT. And so this is more of a central location of everything that has been done. It's my second brain,
Yeah.
right? So I probably have about like uh five tools on a reg that I do when it comes to AI. And then the rest is just like, let's try it. And it may like feel that situation for one day
Hmm.
or for a certain situation that I come about, but it won't be in that tech stack that I will use all the time. And like I said, it'll take a minute um to like kind of knock that down.
Right, because they're staples. They've
Mhm.
proven themselves. You got value out of them. You know how to use them. All of
Mhm.
that good stuff. So on that same note, I was having a conversation last night at a networking event, and it was a young lady who was just like completely against ChatGPT. And when she first said it, I was in my mode of, well, let me educate you because you got to get on this, right?
Mhm.
But as she continued to talk, she made a valid point, and I hadn't thought about it from this point of view, and I'm curious, what your thought process is. How can one protect themselves against getting so ingrained in utilizing these tools that they either lose some of their soft skills or is so watered down that they no longer know how to write because they're just copying and pasting and all of these things. I know that's probably another one of your pet peeves is seeing some of the grammar that Chat GPT might use in some paragraphs when people are copying and pasting. Like, how do you maintain your humanness, your brand, and you being you in the midst of using all of the technology around you?
So I look at it a bit different. It doesn't actually bother me with the AI writing. The
Mm,
reason why it doesn't bother me is because you had to still put some type of input in there,
true.
right? So now the level of input that you put, I can tell, right?
Mm,
Because if it's just trash, it's just trash, right? But there's some AI posts that are really, really good
right.
because of the back and forth that you give it, right? And sometimes it just sounds so good that you're going to have to copy and paste it because you couldn't have said it better yourself. Like, so for me, I learn a lot going back and forth with AI,
Mm,
right? I learn a lot, probably a lot more than I ever have. So one of the things I'll give a real case scenario where I'm trying to improve on my storytelling, right?
mm,
And so one of the videos broke down about Steve Jobs and how he tells stories. And so, of course, you want to take the framework and copy it, right? To understand it and put your own swag to it.
right.
So it took a minute for me to understand it, see how it really comes to play. And now I feel comfortable with, okay, you know what? I don't necessarily have to use AI to write my own story in that
Mm,
kind of way, right? I don't have to be dependent, but I do, from learning purposes, have to be dependent on it for a little bit, right?
right.
And it's the same kind of way of how I always use the example of music producer Swiss Beats. When he
Mm,
first started, he admitted, "Yo, I copied every single beat from the ones that I had that I thought were great to
mm,
the T, boom, 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 so I can understand the foundation, right?
mm,
And then I put my own swag in it, and I figured out my own style after I learned the foundation, right? So I'm big on allowing AI to teach you the foundation, but you still have to tweak it a little bit, right? So when I was in that learning mode, I didn't necessarily copy and paste everything inside of my post and things like that. But I did take parts of it, put it there, right?
yeah.
Take parts, see how it worked, and I'm testing it out on my YouTube channel, and you could tell with the analytics of when did they drop off because of the retention, right? So in real time I'm like, okay, I got to improve this, maybe this didn't
Mm,
work. So the one that I did straight up AI-ish, I could tell through the analytics that ain't it. Cool,
mm,
now let's try it with me adding this and that, right? So I don't believe it, and it's more of who you are.
mm.
I don't believe that people are going to lose their skills if they are true people that trying to get better every 1%,
Uh,
right? I don't believe that. Now, the average person will lean on it and then that is it. Absolutely.
yeah.
Um and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because it is a tool that is going to help us get our time back, right? And so you're going to need that average type of stuff so the great ones could look good.
Uh, okay.
You feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm not mad and what I do get frustrated about is the people who continue to complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then be the change, right?
Mm,
It's all about that. Like, please be the change that you want to see. If you don't like to see fully blown AI stuff, then create something that's not fully blown AI stuff. That will add value to somebody. But if
right.
you just complaining about it and yet you haven't really put out anything, I can't take you serious.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't. I will respect the person who is at least trying to
Mm,
post something that makes some kind of sense, and maybe not all the way sense, right? But some kind of sense. Then rather you're nothing and you're
mm.
complaining this. That's
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 so
just be
good.
the change.
Be the change. I love that. Like, you know, it's nothing wrong with trying these tools. I have definitely tapped all the way in. Like owning a marketing agency, I have no choice but to use AI because you can't really do a lot of work if you're not taking advantage of tools around you.
Mhm.
But I also believe in posting original content. I also believe in being myself, and I teach my clients the same thing when it comes to brand strategy. Like the biggest thing you can do for your brand is to be yourself and
Yes.
get more and more comfortable with that. But you use two choice words in what you just said. You said testing and
Hmm.
practice.
Hmm.
And I think it's a lost art. I think it's a lot of, Allen Iversons running around here. Practice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Practice? No, no, it's necessary. Even someone of your caliber saying the word practice means that you can't just sit around and expect to get better.
Yeah.
If Steph Curry and LeBron James still have to practice, then why shouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely down for that. Um, One thing I want to ask you as it relates to you practicing and you testing things out, do you find it better to primarily focus on the hooks, like the first 3 to 5 seconds of stuff, or is it like all around the content, the titles, the captions? Do you focus on all of the areas, or are you primarily like, no, like if I just do this one thing and test this out, it'll yield me the results that I'm looking for?
I think it's a one at a time situation. So meaning like right now, I'm in the process of like really mastering YouTube. And so one of the biggest things like is, figuring out that packaging, because YouTube is a packaging system where if they don't click, they don't watch, right? Colin and Samir say this all the time. And so, how do I figure out the thumbnails and the titles? And so, once I figure that out, then okay, how do I figure out the hook?
Mm,
Okay, cool. Then, all right, how do we figure out to improve the retention? Cool. Like, it's a one step process each time, right? Okay, I fixed this. That's cool. Let's get on to the next one.
mm.
I don't necessarily try to overwhelm myself because then I will burn out and I won't do anything. So it, it's more towards that. I understand the first 3 seconds is the most important. So there is some type of energy that goes around there, right? And making sure you know exactly what this is about. But for the most part, if I'm at a like boom, I gotta do this, then I gotta do this, and then I gotta do this, and then we'll have a well-rounded part, and then we will go back to the data and see what else do we need to fix and put tweaks on it and that whole nine. And it's a process, and I don't try to get it right automatically or right away. I just try to just, in time, hopefully get 1% better every single day.
I hear that a lot when it comes to people in their YouTube strategy specifically. It's like, hey, I'm just going to commit to posting a video every week, for 10 years or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Um, I started posting some long form content a while back. I definitely was not consistent with it. I want to revisit it, but I want to like create a strategy around it before I do it. I've heard that it's important to maybe have a set of topics or something that you want to talk about in a specific lane before you go to do it. Do you have any specific methodology that you use, or are you more like, I'm open, like whatever I feel in the moment or whatever's new that I want to teach people on or talk about? What's your methodology for your creation process? Like, how do you come up with what you're going to talk about?
so what's great is that AI can tell you all the topics you need, right? You got to
Mm,
tell it the audience, right?
mm,
I don't try to act as if I know everything about my audience because people change at all sites, right? So I at least get the research done of here who's my audience, age
mm,
range, location, all of that from the data that I'm already given. Please let me know. I know I deal with overlook creators and introverts, right? If
mm,
we get real specific, I have people who have a 9 to 5 who have a desire to allow their brand to take over those bills, right?
mm,
And then I have like a small percentage that are just pure content creators, right? So I'm going into ChatGPT, I'm going into hitting deep research, and I'm like, yo, tell me everything that is a pain point, right?
mm,
Because the pain points are the topics. And then I'm looking up those topics and seeing if there's already content out on it, right? Because there has to be a balance of proven proven topics and risk, right? So some of us sometimes just go straight risk. Well, if they haven't talked about it, that means there's a gap and I'm going to talk about it. But that means also possibly they're not looking it up either.
Ah.
Right? So there has to be a balance of I do want to be one of one and the first to something,
Mm.
but I also want to prove that I'm someone that you need to listen to. And so I have to address some of the things that people are looking up in my own perspective, catch their attention to then let's then talk about this. Then let's talk about this. And if there is, yo, I've been needing this, let's double down on that. Right?
Mm.
Your analytics in your comment section is going to tell you a lot. Now let's just say you don't have uh the comments yet, then your analytics is going to show if there was a peak. And a peak could literally be 10 more views, 20 more views, 30 more views. It don't have to be viral, right? And
Right.
everybody's viral is different, right? Some people's viral is 2,000 views because they were averaging 100.
Right.
So, you got to look at things in the level that you're at.
Mm.
I don't look at the level past where I'm at. And I used to. Because there's so much content out there. It's hard not to be like, damn, like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been doing this for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like it should start working. This person just but we don't know the journey behind that, right?
Mm.
So I don't judge nobody's journey. I focus on mine. And I focus on, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I need to do. Boom, boom, boom. But it's really about truly knowing your audience, uh, to get to that next level. The more that you know your audience, the more the trigger words you can say in your content, write in your content that they're like, you're specifically talking to me. And
Yeah.
I rather have a community driven brand than a numbers brand.
Mm. Community driven brand versus a numbers brand. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. I'm gonna send it to you because that's dope. I love it. You said something I was gonna bring up, you brought it up yourself. Um, you focus on the customer and what they want. And you've said this in countless videos. I think people, it's a lost art, right? Because people want to do what they want to do, or they want to do what they like, and only focus on what they feel good about.
Mhm.
And then when the things don't perform how they want them to perform, they're confused.
Yeah.
So, so talk about that for a minute. Like, why is it important to center yourself around what your audience wants? Like,
Mhm.
it seems simple, but some people just don't get it. So, I would love for you to talk about that a little bit because I get it. And it makes sense from a marketing standpoint, from a branding standpoint, and even just from a person standpoint. If you're serving people, then you have to give them what they want. If I
Mhm.
go to a restaurant and I order a hamburger and they bring me some chicken, I'm gonna go, "What is this?"
Mhm.
Right? So why is that a lost art for the most part? I think it is, and why do you concentrate on that being the key for your success?
So 90% of us create brands for others and not for ourselves. So why am I creating content that only pleases me?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm gonna have to know my audience because I'm creating for them. Um, the more that I know about them, the more that it will be successful. The less that I know about them, and the more that I think this is what they need, and I think this is like now, granted, a lot of us create content based off our old self,
Mm,
right? Um, without all the knowledge and the experience that we have, we're probably speaking to the older version of us. So, what did we need back then? And that could start you,
mhm,
absolutely. But then still get outside of yourself, do the research of somebody who was you. What else do they go through? Because your experiences is limited. This is why people seek to travel and meet other people because exposure is everything, right? um but the the more that we understand the audience that we're creating for, it reflects in the conversions of either loyalty or money,
mm.
right? Hopefully it's both.
Right.
right? Yeah, hopefully it's both, but it, it's it's something that, like, the only ones that I know for sure that like create for themselves are artists, like pure artists. Like, I'm creating this and I'm just sharing it with y'all, and y'all like it, cool. But really, I'm just vibing, and I'm giving it, I'm painting, I'm making this music, and this is what it is. And they're not necessarily doing it for a success level. If you want a
Mm,
success level, then you're creating for people,
mm.
right? If you are just wanting to share who you are and what you do, then that is an artist level, right? And that there's two different routes.
That's major. That's so major. It brings me back to my music studio days and people just being in there creating for the sake of creating. Like, it's one thing to just be in your zone. It's another thing to like try to do something successful, which is why you got people creating commercial pop hits and stuff like that, or at least attempting to, because they're like, okay, we need a radio song, right? Back in
Hmm.
the day. Nowadays you can create whatever to be a radio song. But we're not gonna go there. Um but no, you bring up a valid point. You know, it's two different lanes. You either focused on the artistry side, where it's just, hey, I love this content, I want to share it with the world, or you're specifically looking to serve people and gain success out of it. So
Hmm.
very valid point. Look, I don't want to keep you long. I feel like we could talk about this forever. We're both in the branding field, and it's a people thing, right? We care about people, we care about serving people, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. I support everything that you got going.
Thank you.
I've been following you 30 days on Substack, but I just refuse to download the app right now.
Fine. That's
I'll, I'll
fine.
I'll support you vicariously through your post.
Yeah, I'll put it. I'll continue to put it on stories. You're good. I'm
Yeah.
all right. I
But one
think
thing
we're
I
at
will do,
90. I think we're at 96 subscribers on there, so we're good. I'm
hey,
good.
that's okay. You're doing
Yeah.
your thing, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be right here supporting it. But I will continue to support your YouTube and your lives and stuff like that. Like, guys, if you're not already subscribed to Nikki's channel, you are missing out. Please take a moment and go to her page, follow her, subscribe to her, dropping nothing but gems all the time. And she's also helpful. She's not in it to just get views and things of that nature. She does not gatekeep information. If she finds something that's helpful, she's going to share it with her audience. So
Hmm.
be a part of her audience. But last thing I want to ask you, when it comes to your community, like,
Hmm.
what made you strike that up? Where are you with it now?
Yeah.
And where do you see it going in the future?
Uh, yes, that's such a loaded question, and I love it all. And I love it all. Um, yeah, it's like, what is it? Where is it going? What do you want from life? So
That's funny.
Lion's behavior was a birth off of burnout, right?
Mm,
So, like I said earlier, I went through a really major burnout. And the thing that helped me was community,
mm,
right? The thing that was like that kept me going was people like, yo, you good, you're right, like, take your time, things like that, right? Which allowed me to uh now create at a level that I never thought that I could, right? So I
mm.
wanted to provide a safe space that, in such a wild digital world of pressure of having to look a certain kind of way, post certain amount of things, get it right all the time. First launch has to be successful, right? I wanted to create a space that, like, yo, first, are you good,
Mm,
right? Like, do we have, like, I believe that if we have certain behaviors in place, that the creation isn't going to be hard. Like, sometimes we do, as especially for an introvert like me, I can sit in this chair forever, right? So am I getting outside or moving in some way, shape, or form? I do 100 push-ups. Now, I don't want other people to do 100 push-ups every day, but I do 100 push-ups. I walk. You know what I mean? It helps me. Some people are just like, yo, I get up, I go one time around the walk, I'm cool. Like, I'm good. Cool, straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole taking a break, right? So the breathe behavior, taking a break, praying, meditating, whatever you may need to do, learning, are with like being a student of the game. We sometimes get too comfortable with the skills that we already have. So how are we learning something, right? How are we creating, not only creating when inspired, and then like how are we connecting? Those are the behaviors that had helped me get through burnout. And so when I was on live, uh, people were asking, hey, I need that. I need to do this. Whatever you did for, we need to do that together. Right. And so on the live birth the hats.
Mm-hmm.
So when you tap the hat, it unlocks the community, right? It's not just okay, I represent Lions behavior. No, it like unlocks, exclusive content. It unlocks the community and gets inside of there to where inside I'm realizing, yo, let's do certain sprints for 14 days. Let's create something. Let's see how that feels. Yo, for 30 days every quarter, let's just focus on the lifestyle side of things. Who else is going through a monetization track? Let's figure out how to do a landing page together. Let's figure out how to so um creating a space that makes getting it wrong normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um being confident in the skills that you have in a smaller space, because outside will make you feel like, hold on, maybe I am doing this wrong. You know what I
Right.
mean? Maybe I'm doing this wrong, right? Having the prompts to have those conversations inside of AI to be like, because like I said, I'm an introvert, so I'll talk to you, but like I could talk way more to AI sometimes, having a back and forth conversation, then go to a human being and be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, does this make sense?" So I'm doing that now. We're creating an LB club, right? Where we're figuring out, we're doing like feedback sessions. We're treating it's like a run club for uh entrepreneurs and those who are 9 to 5 creators, right? And so I'm going back and forth with ChatGPT, not from a copy and paste on some, hey, does this make sense? Like, what do these people need? Boom, 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 boom. Cool, great. Then I gave it to my team. Hey, does this make sense? Cool. Then I go into the community. Hey, if this is you, say me. So once again, that whole feedback of like, does, all together. But I'm realizing that there needs to be a place where you are your authentic self. You are creating impact as well as monetizing somehow, some way without burnout,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is what Lions behavior is just moving authentically yourself in a very bold way while getting some coins doing it, right? But also just having that balance of like, okay, I'm not exhausted. I don't feel like this is a task. And if I do, I know exactly what to do to get me out of it. I know that feeling, right? So it was really important for me to create a space in that kind of sense. Um so that's what Lions behavior is truly about. Some people are just gonna be like, oh, it's the hat. I was like, it had nothing to do with the hat, yo. Had nothing to do with this lion and at all, Doggy. Like it has everything to do with the safe place that we don't necessarily have in even some of these big entrepreneurship communities. Because you buy a course and it's like dead silent, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like we got people who are crying on these calls on some like, yo, I opened up my first place. Yo, like me and my wife are great. Like it just is a whole side of this creator world or business owner turn creator that just doesn't necessarily get talked about or exposed enough. So
No, for sure. And I'm so glad you talked about it. I appreciate you giving that explanation. I see the hat all the time. I've heard you talk about tapping it, so I knew what it does, but some people may not. But that was great. I do have my own community. It's Build Your Brand University. Some of my people are on here watching this live and coming in, and I appreciate y'all showing up. And it's the same thing. It's a safe space for us to try it out, to figure it out together, to bond, to get advice, things of that nature. And I'm glad you said those sprints thing, right? Like we just did a sprint called No Days Off for July. We're
Hmm.
on day 25, and I mean, it's people who didn't have a brand at all. They just had an idea, and now at day 25 they're posting videos and talking about what it is they do and stuff. So seeing the growth that a community of people can provide is just amazing. So like you said, serving people, being yourself, pushing hard, learning, failing fast, all of that stuff is necessary. But I want to leave the people with this. Nikki said she is learning to, and I might paraphrase this out, um, to not care as much about what people say or may think when
Hmm.
it comes to her doing her. And
Hmm.
I want you guys to take that same mantra, right? Don't be so afraid to be yourself that you're afraid to chase the thing that you say you want the most, right? Because your actions are going to prove if you want it or not. So it's either you do or you don't,
Hmm.
right? So that said, Nikki, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight. Like I mentioned to everybody, if you're not already following her, you're doing yourself a disservice. She is the truth.
Yeah, I just dropped a new YouTube video, so that's all I ask is y'all go to YouTube and look at my latest video. That's all I ever. I love YouTube, so
For the
go do
people who
that.
just hearing this, what is your YouTube channel? What is the at part of your YouTube
Oh,
channel?
this is Nikki's. This is Nikki's at everything. Like I don't try
Okay.
to make it hard for anything. You could Nicky Saunders if you want to just type the whole name, whatever it may be. Nicky, please, thank you. Just for those people who are going to type Nikki wrong. It's cool. It's great. But yeah, I just dropped a new video just like an hour ago. So it'd be great if y'all watch it and comment and say hello.
Okay. And last question I got, Poppy. It's a one-time fee. Is it worth it? Should I go
Yes.
ahead and get it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what the video is. Go watch it.
Okay.
I'm
There
like,
we
yeah,
go.
yeah. Bobby is the reason why I have over 30,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, say no more.
yeah.
Y'all heard it from the greatest, Nikki.
Just use my code Nikki. If you're gonna buy
Yes.
Poppy, Nicky people, hello. Yeah, go do that. But watch the video. Explained why. Because that there's a system that I've used to help me get better. Talking about that whole 1%, and it's helped me grow like my channel 4x my channel.
Mm,
Like last year, I was 9,000. This year, I'm 36,000 subscribers.
that's crazy. That's crazy. Love it. All right. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will absolutely connect later on. I appreciate the time, and we will holler. Thank you, Nikki.
I appreciate y'all.
All right. Peace.